We have a massive power, and it's the power to say no.
2024 is the year when the pushback begins in earnest.
People ain't seen nothing yet. That's what I keep telling people.
It is a master-servant relationship where we, the governed, are the masters.
Doctors are gaslighting patients.
You press down enough on people for long enough, you leave them no choice but to rebel.
So, no, I don't want to forget about it, and I won't shut up about COVID.
The story of the unvaccinated is still yet to be told.
We are one people, one flag, one Australia.
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Ex-Candidates. My name is Stephen Tripp, joined by the independent candidate for Campbelltown Council, Mr. Adam Zara. How you going, mate?
I'm pretty good, thanks, mate. How you going?
Very well, thank you. This is a little bit of an impromptu episode tonight. I had a big weekend down in Oberon at the Climate Change and Energy Solutions Symposium, which was a great, fantastic event. So we've been on the road a lot. And there was a full day yesterday as well with 2 symposiums at 3 hours each. But how could I resist talking to my good mate, Adam Zara?
Of course, it's the face that you keep coming back to, mate. That's what it's about.
All right. Well, we try and be topical on the ex-candidates, and we try to reach out to guests that are important to what's happening at the time. And lo and behold, I think Adam is one of those people at the moment. He's running for Campbelltown Council as an independent, and with the New South Wales branch of the Liberal Party screwing up their nomination forms for the council elections, Campbelltown is one of those electorates or councils that is going to be void of Liberal candidates, which is a tremendous opportunity for not only Adam but also the people of Campbelltown to get behind Adam and vote for Adam, because he is he probably represents a lot of the true old school Liberal values that are important to people. And I think there are disaffected Liberal people out there that don't feel that they're represented. I think you are the one that can represent them, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Like it's so disappointing, and funnily enough, like I'm actually getting stopped by Liberal voters, and they come up to me and they're like, and they start off like, are you Adam Zara? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then we start talking, and and then they get comfortable, and we're pretty, try to create like a nice, comfortable relationship when we're talking with each other, and they are just so disenfranchised by Liberal fumbling this, and I think it's going to really affect Liberal. I don't know how Dutton's going to pull them out of this in the federal election after the council elections and federal elections, the next one in the cycle. And I think that Liberal are actually going to pay for it a little bit. I think Liberal will pay for. Despite we've had conversations off air and stuff like that about maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, whatever, right? But I think as far as the general population see it, it's a bad thing. They feel let down, and I'm trying to give them a home in Campbelltown for conservative values. So that's my focus. And
I think I do think it's a tremendous opportunity for the Liberal Party, but it's not going to happen before the council elections, and because it's a month away, actually less now. The 14th of September is the council election. So 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
So no reform of the Liberal Party is going to happen until then. So we need to focus on your campaign, Adam. But look, we skipped ahead. I do need to do the normal housekeeping. But some of this is really important. So the first thing is, it seems like whenever two things, when Adam's campaigning and when we have this man on, Tony Nikolic, we have some issues, especially with YouTube. So YouTube has deleted interview from last week with Tony Nikolic due to medical misinformation, Adam.
Yeah, and it's all factual stuff that was said. And we're only quoting doctors and what's been said in courthouses.
As you can see in the highlighted section, the content that poses a serious risk of egregious. Oh, I shouldn't even try to read
egregious.
Harm by spreading medical misinformation about currently administered vaccines that are approved and confirmed to be safe and effective by local health authorities. And the World Health Organization isn't allowed on YouTube. So,
well, just put a big tick against that one, don't you? Because, if the World Health Organization says it's okay, well, it must be okay.
Yeah, well, the result is that we are banned on YouTube for a week. We can't upload, and that's why this episode is not going to YouTube. I can try and upload it later. But look, if you are following us on YouTube, it's clear that we're going to lose that channel eventually. So why even bother? I know YouTube's very convenient. I like using YouTube, but head to Rumble. Rumble has been reliable for us. So, test something new out. Even if you haven't used Rumble before, give it a go and follow us there, because we haven't had any issues with Rumble, and hopefully we don't have any issues going forward. So that's the first thing. So we're facing censorship as usual. But if you do want to support us and everything that we're doing, because we will carry on, please head to Buy Me a Coffee. Now, you can throw us a few dollars there. Helps to pay for the stream. Maybe one day it will help pay for legal. I don't want to touch wood.
Don't jinx it. Touch on wood.
Touch wood, that never ever happens. But most importantly, it gives Adam and I a warm and fuzzy feeling inside every time that good people want to part with their hard-earned money to support us. So thank you for everyone who has donated in the past. And if you would like to donate in the future, please head to Buy Me a Coffee. I also got an email this week by a lovely gentleman that I actually met on the polling booths down in Manly in 2022, and he's bought one of our T-shirts to support us. So if you would like to buy one of our T-shirts, head to xcandidates.tshirts.net.au, wear one of our T-shirts around Manly Beach or wherever it might be, and walk out in style. They're very good quality T-shirts, and it's just another way of people being able to support us. If you do want to follow us, again, don't rely on social media. Head to commandingthenarrative.com. All our podcasts go up there, articles, events, everything that we're doing. Hit the sign-up button in the top right-hand corner. You'll get a weekly newsletter, and it's the best way to follow us. I've seen a real uptick in people taking up that subscription. It's just that email service. So that's really encouraging. So it is the best way. Don't rely on Facebook. Don't rely on Instagram. Even though those platforms haven't been too bad with us, still head straight to the website. It's the best place to go. Now, Oberon. Now, I've been talking about that for the last few weeks. The symposium there with Professor Ian Plimer, Dr. Alan Moran, Grant Piper from the National Rational Energy Network, Paul Vallejo, Birchall Wilson, also Tony Alevraz, who organised it. He's the owner of the Lake Oberon Estate. It was a fantastic event, a fantastic symposium, a lot of great information presented. If you want to watch it, because obviously everyone can't make it out.
That's what I was going to say. Where do we watch it?
You can watch it. It's up on Chris Covery's Facebook page right now. You can watch the symposium. As you can see, Chris's work is fantastic. It looks very, very professional. That's my ugly mug at the top there. You can see Ian Plimer walking past. That's Ian Plimer speaking there. So if you want to catch that symposium and hear some really good quality information, head to Chris Coveries on Facebook, and you can watch the whole thing there. Also,
sorry, Stephen, will that be coming across to Commanding the Narrative?
No, it's going to be exclusive for Chris Coveries. So okay. I might be able to take some clips with Chris's permission, but he did so much hard work. I mean, that guy worked so hard. Yeah. He worked really hard to get that going.
Did he have his hat on?
No, he didn't actually. No, he didn't have the. He wasn't in protest mode. He was in work mode. So I guess the hat's not applicable. But no, he worked really hard, and he did have some technical difficulties, but he managed to make it work. So thank you for Chris. And if you want to watch it, head to his page. Also, the Environment and Energy Forum's coming up. Got some really great speakers announced for this. This is going to be at the Guildford Leagues Club on Sunday, September 29th, between 1 and 5 p.m. You can head to the Eventbrite page and get your ticket. Matthew Kamanzuli has been announced. Sandra Burke, who is the new spokeswoman for Advance Australia, doing some fantastic work. Nick Cater's going to be hosting the Q&A. Craig Kelly will be there. Steve Christo will be there. Again, as I mentioned, Grant Piper. Kevin Lockray, if you follow this channel, you know all about Kevin. He's going to come down to Sydney to speak. Wade Northhausen, who we've also interviewed, will be there coming up from Victoria. I think that will be good to hear from Wade, Paul Vallejo, and of course myself. Now, we've got some big names to also be announced. There's one member of parliament that is very close, another independent actually. Of course, this Guildford event will take place in Chris Bowen's electorate of McMahon. So that's significant. But there's an independent nearby who I hope to confirm very, very soon that will also be speaking, and we'll have some more experts on nuclear energy announced in the next few days, hopefully, or maybe in the next few weeks. So don't miss out. Get your ticket, sign up, and everything like that. And lastly, just because I know I said there was a lot of stuff to get through. We got so many.
Hey, it just goes to show how much the show's growing and how much, especially yourself, but how much we're involved with all these different events that are going on at the moment.
We've got so many rods in the fire, but that's just the way we roll, I guess. I'm about to fall asleep right now doing this podcast, but you just have to keep pushing forward. I mean, look, Stephen, we're trying to save the country.
But you know what? It's and I'll again, I'm going to say it. Stephen's the one who's really got his rods in the fire, as he says. You know what I mean? So like, Stephen's the one. I've been busy campaigning and trying to build up this independent thing that's happening at the moment for council. But normally I try to help Stephen where I can and things like that, but I've had to focus on different things. But Stephen's really been, Stephen's the main driving force behind the ex-candidates commanding the narrative. He does all the work on the website with the newsletter and things like that. They're short, they're sweet, they're punchy, they're really, really good. They're a good read, and they just keep you in the loop. So I thank you, Stephen, for what you do for the show and what you're doing for Australia.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. But this show's about you, and I will get to you in 1 second. Just one last thing.
Come on.
I promise. The Light newspaper. Now, the latest edition of The Light is out now. So if you want to get your copy, it's out there. It's for free. If you want to be a distributor and you're in Sydney, please call 0406 861 816. Now, I've said before that these papers cost about 15 cents each to distribute. That's all been paid for, at least for the Northern Beaches side of things. So call that number, 0406 861 816, and you can help distribute this to your local area. So please jump on that if you feel like doing some exercise and some letterboxing. There's some really great information in this one. Even this article here, written by some guy named Stephen Tripp. I read that before. It's a pretty good article. But there's some really good authors in there. Dr. Alan Moran's got an article in there. Senator Ralph Abet, Senator Malcolm Roberts. There's some really good stuff in there. And if you can get it out there, we talk about this every single time we talk about The Light. With misinformation and disinformation laws looming and censorship, obvious censorship that's happening to us and elsewhere, one day The Light newspaper might be the best way of getting information out there. Old school hard copy media may have to come back to the forefront. So
I just love it. I love the idea of it. I love the fact that it can't be deleted and it can't be changed. So if it's delivered to your house and you choose to read it, you can read it. If you choose not to read it, you don't have to read it. But the fact of the matter is, it's there and it can't be altered once it's printed. And that's the thing. That's the big thing about the digital stuff, is that it could be up there in a second and it can be deleted off, your mainstream stuff. You probably could still find it, but it would be very, very hard. Whereas on print, it's printed, it's there, and I can see why the globalists and stuff like that want to get rid of print media, because there's no hiding from it.
Now, Adam, you've had a big week. Has it been exciting for you?
You know what? It has been exciting, actually. It is an exciting process. I can't believe Liberals stuffed it, because if I can do it, I really do feel like anybody can do it. Like Stephen knows, I ain't the greatest on computer. I can use them and I can fumble around, but when there's a deadline to meet, the nerves start pulling up and you start getting, they're hard deadlines. And we can see from what happened with Liberal is that if you miss it, you're cooked. You're done. There's no second chance. There's no real option. Okay, so I'm proud, and I'm a bit proud of myself, to be honest with you. I was able to sit there and work through the differences and work through the troubles. And the Electoral Commission has been very, very good. They were able to, people go, no. they've been good. They were able to help me, and that they've been able to talk me through some processes. Lodging the nominations was probably the hardest part. So I can see why when we're in parties and stuff like that and they're yelling at their candidates, get this done, because it is a bit of a process. But I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of the team. And we're definitely here standing for Campbelltown. And now the adrenaline's starting to pick in. The print's almost getting ready. We're just about to get the print started on corflutes. We've had all the distribution all the distribution papers that we've got, how to vote cards and stuff like that. That's all been approved by the Electoral Commission. So now it's pretty much campaign mode on. We're putting on our socks and we're putting our shoes, and now we're going to go hit the pavement, because once the material comes in, we're able to campaign properly.
Well, it's good to show that you can do these things. I mean, you are putting yourself up for council, and there's you need to show the electorate that you're capable of dealing with these processes. It's, as you said, normally when you run for a party, the party does it all for you. You're doing it as an independent. You have a team with you of other candidates, but you're doing the heavy lifting with all the nominations and the paperwork and everything like that, at least the majority of it. So it goes to show that you are capable of putting your head down and tackling any issue and being able to solve it. One of the things that you've also been challenged with this week is your first media appearance on a major radio station in Sydney. I mean, 2GB is basically the number one radio station in Sydney, and you had an interview with Michael McLaren, who does from midday to 3 p.m. And we're going to play a little bit now. We can only play, obviously, about 30 seconds because of copyright and everything. But if you do want to listen to the whole thing, it's only about 2 minutes. Head to Adam's Facebook page, and you should be following that already. The Real Adam Zara on Facebook. It's the best way to keep up with Adam and everything he's doing, and he has been doing a lot this week. But let's hear from Adam on 2GB.
Adam, good afternoon.
G'day, Michael. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure, mate. Now, just tell me, I'm looking at what it says here. You're a local candidate for these elections coming up in September. Have you been approached in Campbelltown? Yes. Have you been approached by this group?
Yes, I have been. They Vote for Palestine. They send you emails. They send you emails every kind of time you're a candidate in any sort of election. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on the actual candidates themselves, because we're wasting our time on things that aren't really relevant to local government.
And obviously, you go into more detail as the interview goes on. Tough question. It's a complex issue. It's more of a federal issue, I feel. It's meant to be foreign relations. I mean, the fact that councillors have to talk about this stuff is a little bit outside the scope of what local government should be. And that was your main argument, right?
That was my main argument, because what happens is it's very easy to be tarred with the racist brush, especially in this day and age. You can't say anything without being called a racist, right? So if you don't support something, or if you might have your personal views, but you have to look at it as in the scope of your practice, okay? So I'm a blind installer, but I don't go and fix toilets for people, you know what I mean? I can't do that, right? So what happens is council is roads, rates, rubbish, recreation. It's not about foreign policy and all those kind of things. That's for the federal foreign minister to handle those kind of things and to keep the public informed about what's going on overseas. Now, right, to be clear, I know Stephen, myself, and my group, and most Aussies, they don't want to see fighting anymore. They don't want to see wars, and they don't need to see, and they don't want to see people in Gaza getting blown up. They don't want to see people in Israel getting blown up. They just want peace and harmony. That's the basic stance of, like, I would say 99% of humans, and that's really how I feel about it as well. Okay, but when you start getting all these emails, we vote for Palestine, and do you support Palestine and all this kind of stuff? Well, that's in relation to candidacy and in relation to council. That they're not things that I should be concerning, or any of us really should be concerning ourselves with. We have you know, my as far as that would fall into a council criteria would be if somebody wanted to get approval to have a flagpole in their front yard or in their backyard, and then raise a flag every now and then. Now, if it's on private property and they meet the standards for a flagpole, they can fly any flag they really kind of want. Okay, I think probably not the swastika flag or something like that, but they can fly just normal.
As long as it's not offensive.
It's not offensive. Okay, so normal national flags, you can fly them. Okay, so that's really as much of it as the capacity as somebody running for council or a councillor really can do. Even in state government, you know, there's not too much you can really do apart from kind of like, you know, how do we handle protests? Are protests peaceful? Are they you know, aggressive? What's going on? Things like that. Do we allow these? Do we not allow these? And things like that, just for general safety and things like that. But apart from the issue itself, is not really relevant to what we do, especially in council or in state. So it's a bit crazy.
Explain the process, Adam, because when you nominate as a candidate, your email, at least your campaign email, is put up on the Electoral Commission website. So these activist groups, whether they be on the right or the left, I mean, there's Christian activist groups, there's automotive activist groups, there's climate change activist groups, and obviously there will be issues like the Palestine, for, you know, Vote for Palestine or whatever this group is called. They basically have a website, and people can go to that website, and it mass produces emails for the people that want to address this issue, and it goes to all the candidates in that electorate or in the electorate that person lives in. So as a candidate, you're bombarded with these emails all the time. So it's effective. I think the left particularly adopt this method more than the right, and I've seen some members of parliament basically put on their website or elsewhere saying if I'm receiving emails from these places, I can't answer them because you get bombarded with so many of them. It is an effective tactic that is used by these lobby groups, and you're bombarded with them all the time.
Yeah, that's absolutely what happens. And then not to mention you get follow-up emails too. So you might have, you know, it could be, you know, you might get 10 emails in a block of just different activist groups, you know, for petitions and stuff like that, or for your pledge. It's always your pledge. Do you pledge? I mean, in that interview that I was talking with Mark McLaren about, you know, they wanted to pledge. Do you pledge to agree to have a sister city in Gaza? And, you know, I mean, what does that involve? You know, no, I don't, because I don't want Campbelltown ratepayer monies to go from Campbelltown overseas. Enough money goes overseas anyway, and there's a debate and argument about how much money should be going over there anyway, especially with the issues that Australia is facing right now, such as cost of living, food, housing affordability, all you know, all that kind of stuff. That's interest rates rising, inflation, like, you know, these kind of things warrant not sending money overseas. We need to fix our backyard first. And now, you know, Stephen, you and I have said this federally, state-wise. You know, we come up with the sayings. You know, you can't help someone if you've got your own broken leg. You know, you need to fix your leg first before you can help somebody. It's the same thing with money. It's the same thing with foreign policy. You have to fix Australia first, and then you can maybe then be benevolent to other countries. And you can see from the way people are struggling, more people are homeless. Or, you know, even in Campbelltown, more people are, you know, starting to be there's more homeless getting around and destroying property and things like that, as in breaking into properties and abandoned buildings and stuff that need to be taken down and living there. So what is wrong with our politicians, federally, state, not so much council because it's a little bit different, but federally and state, where they're just ready to throw money across the ocean? They should be focusing on Australia first.
Yeah, but it's interesting you brought up the thing about the sister cities, because that does happen. I mean, you know, there's sister cities with Japan and sister cities with China and different places, blah, blah, blah. So they want to have this sister city with Gaza. And you've asked a good question. How much money is going to be put to that? Well, maybe we're not sending money overseas, and I don't know, maybe we are, but let's say we're not. There's still money that goes along with advertising it, putting in the local council paper or whatever, you know, even just putting a plaque on a wall somewhere. All that takes money. Now, it might be a small amount of money, but this focus, I mean, the money and the focus should be on the people of Campbelltown, or any council. I mean, let's just take rates for example. Why aren't the councillors focused on reducing rates instead of focusing on which sister city they want to have with someone with another place in across the ditch or across the ocean in another place in the world.
Well, I think what you can look at, in the first part of your question about, a sister city with a sister city in Japan, or, if you had a sister city in, I don't know, England or something like that, you're on fairly even stature. You know what I mean? You're not a war-torn, broken down, unfortunate, like third world kind of, situation, right? Where they are you're not getting as much as you're giving. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to go, right, well, let's send 20 people on a trip over to Gaza right this minute, and they'll send 20 people over to us, and we'll do some sort of like foreign exchange program for schools or something like that. You could sponsor something like that, say, right? Well, you're not going to send 20 high school kids or 20 university students from Campbelltown. You're not going to send them over to war-torn Gaza at this point, are you?
In all fairness, no, you're not.
It feels like just it will be more of a give, and to no advantage. And I think there is a time and place for it, but it's not in council to address the second part of your question. Then you're right. A $3,000 plaque to say, hey, yeah, we're a sister city of someone somewhere in Gaza or wherever it is. I mean, like, I just, it just detracts from politicians and councillors doing what's right by the people of their elected electorate.
And look, people were saying, or might be saying, hey, I rent, so who cares about council rates? If I want the council to spend money on something that's virtuous, then so be it. But if the council rates are high, then the landowners, they're not all rich billionaires. Some of these are mum and pop investors. They're going to pass that cost on to renters. So if you're renting, I mean, rates are applicable to you as well. I mean, they're significant to renters, because if rates are high, rents will also go up.
Oh, well, just for argument's sake, in 2014, the Campbelltown Council, a few of the Campbelltown councillors, pushed a special, what was it called? It was special increase for council rates. Okay, so you can't stop the regular increase every year. That's governed by state, so it does. It's always slightly goes up with CPI increases, inflation stuff, CPI increases, right? Okay, which is kind of like, all right, well, that's what it is, but that's the way it is. But the councils can then actually put a motion forward to actually do a special increase on rates, council rates, okay? And in 2014 it happened, and they requested a 10% increase, okay? So if you're paying $2,000 a year, a 10% increase is $200, okay? Now, it doesn't sound, it's only $200, okay, but that's $200 over 10 years. Is a lot of, and then and on top of, okay, your regular rate rises as well. So councils should be working hard to stay within budget, to ensure that they're not putting motions and bills forward to create things that are going to cost so much without. And don't forget too, councils can have investments that create money for the electorate, for the council as well. Okay, because I know in Campbelltown we've got this amazing billabong that's been built. Okay, now it's been rife with controversy from the start. Okay, and I remember statewide we were told to campaign against it and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, it had been fully funded. Okay, so it was a grant. It was a Western Sydney grant. Okay, so it was funded partly by council, partly by the state government. Okay, to build a nice billabong in Campbelltown. So in the end, COVID hit, and there was a lot of dramas. There was also things that they did and they voted for, right, that actually did blow the cost out a little bit. Now, by blowing the cost out, it wasn't blown out because a hammer cost $10,000 and a nail cost, $75. It was blown out because they actually invested and future-proofed it with infrastructure. So they made the drainage systems better. They protected one of the regions from flooding. They increased the drainage. They've done better
Plus,
plumbing.
you're investing in local companies. I mean, a lot of the workers that would have worked on these sites, the local businesses that would have been supplying materials, even the local cafes that are feeding the workers. I mean, any infrastructure project is going to boost that local area. You can't just focus on the money that was spent on it. I mean, it does. What
does it bring? What does it bring to the area? And how does it benefit the people? Is what the dream was by the mayor and the councillors who brought it forward. Okay, so what happens is it's a beautiful spot. It's a beautiful development for all kind of abilities. Okay, and for every ability that you have in Campbelltown. Okay, it's free for everyone to use. Okay, and it's actually quite a good facility. Now, what happens is it costs a little bit of money. Yes, it was fully funded, and it's also through other investments, it's actually going to kind of pay for itself as well. Okay, so there's other things that go on behind the scenes where it will pay for itself. So it's not actually didn't actually increase the rates for Campbelltown. Okay, so Campbelltown have got this nice free new playground because I don't want people to think that he's hypocritical. No, I'm not hypocritical, but it was funded. It was fully funded. It's been it's had audits. It's been audited and got the clean tick and clean bill. So I do stand behind it, and now it's time for Campbelltown to get their money's worth out of it and to use the facility and to look after it. So that's my main message for the Billabong. If anyone wants to go, right, this is it.
Go and enjoy it.
Go and enjoy it. Use it. I'm going to use it. My family's going to use it. They're going to love it. I know people are going to love this place, and we'll and I know that they're going to actually voted to do another thing on it as well, to expand it and put like a permanent fixture cafe up in there as well, so mum and dads can go and quickly get a coffee or a drink, and their kids can play in the area. So it's actually a good thing. But so that's what we're after anyway. So what we're trying to do as an independent is responsible ratepayer expenditure. Okay, how much is it going to cost? Is it going to be delivered on time? And how many people is it going to benefit? Okay, not really into things that benefit a minority. Okay, got a couple of thousand people in the area, and then you're going to spend $1 million or $2 million on it. That's kind of like not really spending your money wisely. Okay, because it's fine. You got 2,000 people out of 180,000 people are going to be able to have something that they're going to use. But why should the 178,000 people foot the bill for 2,000 people, right? So this is it's a balancing act as well. So we should be looking at just concentrate spending on efficiency. So things that work well, that are going to increase the value of the area as well. Infrastructure does increase the area, doesn't it? Wealth of the area. So and property values and things like that. So that's one of the main things is responsible rate expenditure.
Yeah, good. And you mentioned before about working hard. I want to go back to your radio interview this week on 2GB. People listening to that interview are probably just assuming you're sitting there in your office like you are now in a nice suit and a tie, conducting this interview. That wasn't the case, was it?
No, absolutely wasn't the case. Actually, you know what? I was listening back to it and I was like, it sounds like I'm sitting on a toilet. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. It really did. There's an echo in there. So I was actually in an empty house. I was actually at work that day. Well, I work every day, but I was actually at work and I was listening to Michael McLaren and the particular topic that we talked about popped up, and I'm like, well, I've got something to add to this, and I can and put my 2 cents in. And gratefully enough, he decided to accept my call and put me on. But I was on hold for half an hour. I had a tool belt on. I had my drills hanging off my sides. I was unloading my van. I was prepping my work area to install blinds and things like that. I had the customer kind of like slowly circling me and having a look at me like, why is this guy on his phone? Which is never a good look. It's not a professional look when you're actually an installer and fitting customers' blinds. They want you to focus on the job, not on obviously your phone. And by rights,
but you're still working hard.
Oh, still working. Oh, absolutely working hard. I was unloading the van. I was setting up, getting ready to install. The time's ticking away. I've got another job to go to, but I thought, no, I'm going to do this call. So yeah, I was in the middle of trade work at the time, And so it's not.
Can you imagine, like, if the audience just knew that you're standing there in your tool belt and you're hard at work while making this call, running for council? Do you think the people of Campbelltown would warm to that?
I believe so. I think they would. I think it's nice to have councillors that are tradies, and it's nice to have people representing you who actually do what you do. And
it goes to show that not only do you work hard, but you own your own business, so you know what that's like. You know the pressures that are put on people and workers and business owners and families and renters. I mean, you know all those pressures. You don't live a privileged life. I know often you work 7 days a week, plus podcasting, plus campaigning, plus everything else that comes along with the life of Adam Zara. So I think people need to be aware of that. I mean, you are putting a tremendous amount of effort into everything that you do, not only just this campaign, but everything. But you can relate to the people of Campbelltown. You've grown up there. You've lived there all your life. You've worked in the area. I mean, I think that's really significant.
Yeah, I've seen it change. I've seen I have a retail business for window coverings and stuff like that. So I know what the pinch, what people are feeling, so just, people have blinds for, like, related to blinds, because that's what I do. Okay. So, they have vertical blinds in their house that are, 15 years old and falling off their the carriers and things like that. And they need new blinds. And then, you go into the house, you talk to them, and just, you turn around and give them a price and a good price for, repairing things or changing things out, especially, and they ring you back and they're like, unfortunately, we can only pick one blind. We can't do the whole house, or we can't do this, or can you just repair, so people are feeling the pinch in general. And I'm on the forefront of that. I'm on the front line. I do see that because I am in and out of people's homes in my electorate every day of the week. And it's like 6 or 7 homes a day. I communicate with these people, with all the people of my customers. I communicate with them. The signage on the side of the van goes, strikes up a conversation about council, or about, are you a candidate? Are you a politician? Yes, I am. And then we have conversations about that. And I can tell you straight that last week I copped a few from actually increased rates. So one of my last customers that I had for the week turned around and said, hey, if you're running for council, why is my bill $300 more expensive? And I'm like, well, this is why, I was like, I don't really know right now. But
not in there yet.
Not in there quite yet.
But look, council is not a full-time job, so you will need to keep working once you're elected to council, and let's hope that does happen. I think you're in with a really good shot. And you may even get more than yourself elected, hopefully. But you're going to have to keep working. So you're really going to be a real working councillor, aren't you?
Absolutely, a real working councillor. I know that a few of the councillors that are on council at the moment in caretaker mode, they work, but I'll be working as well, and I'll be working probably 6 or 7 days a week once the busy season starts again, and putting in my time to, read all the materials, go over all the briefs and things that are going on with council. And once a month, I think it's twice a month actually, you have to go and you do a briefing, and then you do, obviously, your general meeting for council. So
it also means you're going to be down to earth as well. You're not going to get carried away with the role. You're still going to be, under the same pressures you are now as a working man.
Absolutely, 100%. So it's basically Adam at work, and then Adam doing his bit to try and change or lead Campbelltown in a better direction, and try to get better value and better results for the people of Campbelltown. But yeah, absolutely. Look, mate, I've been in this game for about 4 years now. You've been in the game for about 4 years now. Our feet are pretty firmly planted on the ground. I'm not a lifelong politician and being groomed into the role. I saw a need, and I saw an opening, and I've taken it. So that was back in 2022, just like yourself. And we spoke about it on the show many, many times of why we did it. And I think that there's a really good advantage, or there's a really good result in getting council, because council is ground roots. And I'm a ground roots kind of...
Yeah, tell me this, Adam. I know in a lot of councils you can also vote for the mayor. Is that the case in Campbelltown, and are you running for mayor?
No. So what happens is in Campbelltown, we're a single ward, so it's a city of. Okay, so we've got this one, it's 15 councillors, and once the councillors are elected, they vote for the mayor. So there's wheeling and dealing and stuff on. But, be warned, if I get four seats, I could be running for mayor as well.
Hey, well, if you want Adam Zara, I mean, you really get behind him. And I mean, if he could get himself elected and more, it does create a block, and that block can be significant. I mean, if you want things done in Campbelltown, and you want things done the right way, I mean, Adam's representing Australian values and back to basics. I mean, I think that's pretty much your tagline, isn't it?
That's pretty much the tagline. So, roads, race, rubbish and recreation, and back to basics. We've got to bring back Australian values. And let's face it, it's worked for so long. It's once we started veering away from the good old Aussie values is where I think people started to realise that, or started to feel, discontentment in what's going on. So, Aussie values is the way to go.
So tell me about this. This is a former councillor. You're actually getting some endorsements from former councillors. You're out campaigning with one of them this week.
And he was also a former mayor. So he
former
was the
mayor as well.
Previous mayor, yeah. That's George
Braticevic. What was that, sorry?
And so he was Councillor George Braticevic, sorry.
Yep. And it looks like you had a good time out campaigning with him.
Hey, George is really active and in the community. He's actually a councillor that does get, his feet on the pavement and doing work. So, it was nothing for him to go up to that was in the Manoosh Co. or M & Co. in Eaglevale, just right around the corner from me. And he goes up and introduces himself. We speak to it. We speak to owners and stuff like that. And he tries, and we both of us will try, but he does and has been for a long time supporting local businesses. So he's always at a different barber. He's always at a different, food outlet or coffee shop, and he promotes their businesses on his page. He's got a small, he's got a decent sized following, obviously being mayor and ex-mayor of Campbelltown and a councillor of Campbelltown. So he does his part to try and promote small business. He's given me his endorsement. He's backing me. He's helping me out, and I look forward to doing the same thing, but with a little bit of with a bit of clout. Being a councillor, growing your support base, and getting out there and actually being able to make change. That's the most important thing. And listening to people and hearing what they have to say, because let's face it, everyone's always in their own bubble anyway. So I have my life bubble that I work in. And even though my bubble does include going from people's houses and listening to people, I still have my own personal life to deal with as well. So in a council role, when you're speaking to people and listening to it actually does give you a bit more clout in making certain changes, especially if they're really honest and genuine ones that really need to be done. And you can see them, and you can see the results, what would come from making those changes.
Now, the current council, I'm pretty sure you've told me in the past, it's mainly Labor. Have they been an effective council, specifically with the cost of living?
Look, there's no place for party politics and being wrapped up in council, and to be honest with you, they just I haven't really seen many great results. I've seen, a lot of back and forth in the council and stuff like that. I haven't really seen them achieve anything. I don't think the leader of a certain major party on council has really achieved much. I don't think he's ever had many bills or motions put forward and been approved and been voted for successfully. So I don't feel like I'm actually worried, because I don't think they will be effective councillors. And it's not a personal thing. I just don't think as because of the party politics and the way that that council works with the state and federal guys, is that I just don't really think that they will be very effective. We're going to need louder, stronger voices in council. And now that Liberals aren't there, because Liberals, there was a Liberal mayor and they had 4 seats. Labor, I believe, is 6 seats, and then we had independents. So now it's going to be up to the independents like myself to actually be a strong conservative voice and make sure that that we're not wasting ratepayers' money on just buying votes.
And you're not beholden to anyone by being in a party. You're a true independent, so you can make your own decisions and you can listen to people and hear their concerns. I want to ask you about housing and housing density. I know I did some work in Campbelltown as a surveyor, probably 10 years ago now, but I've seen the amount of traffic just build and build in the area. I mean, it's not just a suburban area, quiet suburban area anymore. It's almost like a bustling little city, and we want to bring more and more people into the country. That's going to require housing. When I was at the symposium this weekend, Craig Kelly actually put up a graph of housing developments in Australia compared to the rest of the world, and we're actually second. We're second behind, I think it was Sweden, in housing and construction. So we are pumping out a lot of houses. It just goes to show how much immigration's coming in, and that, even though we were a world leader in building houses, we still can't keep up. But I can assume there's going to be more housing development in Campbelltown. I've been out in the car with you in Campbelltown, and we've looked at those areas where it's just housing estates and housing developments, and it looks. I've told you what I think it looks like. It doesn't. It's just houses where it used to be farmland.
Yeah.
What are your views about housing development in Campbelltown? Can you fit more housing in?
Well, look, the Labor state government have got the Densify Cities program going on. Okay, so they just want to literally build up and increase the population. Okay, now there are places and things for that. Okay, there are places for high density, places for medium and just suburban density. Okay, what happens is, but infrastructure has to keep up. Okay, you've got roads that are blocked. You've got hospitals that are the hospital that we have has just been remodeled and it's still drowning. Okay, there's paid parking at hospitals as well. Okay, I was in medical centres, a very big, a very new medical centre. 7 hours I was in a medical centre. Okay, so what happens is you have all this congestion already. Okay, no real infrastructure. We don't even have a direct train line from Campbelltown to Parramatta. It's 3 trains you have to catch. So if you're going to have people or provide high density housing or units and things like that, and increase and significantly or sharply increase population, it has to be planned out and thoughtful and done properly, so that what happens is that the city itself can cope with it. Okay, you don't want to be leaving your house to go to work and just be in a traffic jam as soon as you leave a driveway, or a traffic jam to get out of your street. Okay, and then you have to take into consideration of the heritage of the area in Campbelltown. Campbelltown is cow pastures and suburban family-orientated living. And all we're seeing is the streets getting smaller, the houses getting actually bigger, and the land blocks getting smaller. So, where's the balance? And that's what it's about. It's about balance, right? So maybe in the city centre, a little bit of a few more units and some density, high-density buildings might be in order. Okay, because we do have a housing crisis, and we do want to try and drive prices of housing down, and we do want to house people so they have places to live and have roofs over their heads. So it's an important part. That's a balance. See, it's an important thing. Okay, yes, we do need houses. Yes, we do have room in Campbelltown to build more houses. What kind of houses do we want to build, and what kind of quality lives do we want to provide for the families and people and communities being formed in Campbelltown? Do you want to have... Yep. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say that's excellent. I completely agree with you. You need to plan these things out, and I feel like you need to build the infrastructure first. You need to build the roads first, and you need to build the public transport first, and upgrade the hospitals or build new hospitals first, the schools, everything that comes along with it. Even just water services and sewage and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It seems to be that they just want to build houses for the sake of building houses, but they don't plan out everything that comes along with it. Even shopping centres are getting more congested because they're not building new local shopping centres for these areas. Yeah. But you spoke of heritage. And I think that's related also to the environment. And I know in Campbelltown you have a koala population, at least within Campbelltown or close by.
So we have
there's going to be some swing voters listening to you. I mean, there are people out there that that are not loyal to Labor or not loyal to Liberal or not loyal to the Greens. I mean, they float between all the parties, and they're going to be wanting to hear from you on these issues. What are your views on the environment?
Well, I think it's important that it's always measured and balanced. Okay, we know we need houses, we know we need estates. Okay, and we know that it's going to impact on land areas. Okay, but what do we do as councillors? Well, we have to listen to what the chief scientist recommends to look after our flora and fauna. Okay, Campbelltown has one of the last populations in Australia of disease-free koalas. Okay, so they're definitely something to hold on to and look after. Okay, but how do you protect koalas? Okay, well, there's a few issues. I mean, how do you protect the native flora and fauna of your area or of Campbelltown? Okay, because that's relevant to me. Okay, so good infrastructure helps those kind of things. You and I know about this, and we've spoken about it. We've seen it on the ex-candidates. We've seen it on my Facebook page, Appin Road. Appin Road is a major thoroughfare. There's massive housing developments going on there, and it is in line and next to animal corridors. So what do? We listen to the chief scientists. We hear people's expectation and what they need and what they want as a result of it. Okay, what do? Well, we put animal corridors. We make sure that animal corridors are wide enough and to the chief scientists' requirements. We make sure that we put underpasses under roads where we need animal corridors to stay open. We can use animal fencing and tools like that to actually guide animals in for safe passage across roads. But when you have a road that's only 2 lanes wide and has very busy traffic, okay, and it's not even curbed, or it's just basically a tarmac that breaks off into the dirt with trees this far away from the road, okay, there's no real room for any sort of evasive manoeuvre should one know. If you hit the brakes or swerve, you're either hitting a tree or hitting oncoming traffic or being rear-ended by another car. But sometimes to save nature, you need to develop, okay? So put a nice big road in there with lights, and with animal underpasses and animal fencing and things like that, with dual carriageway each way and properly curved. And, you have room to see what's coming up ahead of you. You have room to slow down and hit the brakes. You have room to avoid impacts with animals and other car alike. So it's a very contentious issue because people just go, we don't want to build anything. And sometimes you need to build and we need to, what do you put first? I had a conversation with another person who pulled me over on the side of the road, funnily enough. And she's talking about, oh, my God, they're cutting down the trees and they're doing this and they're doing that in Appin Road. And what about the koalas? And I'm like, well, the trees that they're cutting down are only 2 or 3 thick. It's not proper bushland, okay? And it's not nowhere near where the corridors actually are, okay? And what happens is, I said, 30 people have died there in the last 20 years. I said, do you prefer human life over animal life or animal life over human life? And she goes, oh, well, human life. I'm like, right. So we need to develop the road. Okay, but I said to her, but think about this, because she's coming right from the animal's point of view, rightfully so. And I said to her, well, why don't you think about that if we had a nice Appin Road and it was street lit and it was curbed properly and there was water runoff, you might be able to actually avoid a collision with an animal, or animals would also be able to see cars coming and they would, yes, you're still always going to get a collision. It's going to happen no matter what you do, okay? But if you can minimize it and avoid it and have a benefit ratio of collisions and less animals dying and less people dying and things like that, it's a great step forward. So that's one thing that we can do, and that's one thing that we believe in, right? We can also sequester some land in where there is development going on, and we can plant trees and we can rehabilitate areas that might have been affected by building and things like that too. So there are a lot of options that we can do, but we just have to look at it again with common sense and balance and say, right, maybe we won't knock down this much animal corridor, but 2 kilometres down the road, we've got open paddocks that no one's using. We could build on that land where there's no trees and there's no animal corridor. I mean, I don't understand, 2 Ks this way or that way, I don't think it makes too much difference if we can maintain the habitat for the natural habitat and corridors that we have. And we're lucky enough to have a very healthy and very nice population of koalas. And we want to make sure that, their welfare is also thought of.
So I guess final question or wrapping up. A lot of people out there are looking at this debacle with the Liberal Party not nominating in certain local councils, and they're trying to work out maybe some of the motivations as to why that could have happened. Some people out there with maybe conspiracy theories thinking, well, this wasn't just an accident, this was a planned event, and it's almost like they wanted the good Liberals out of the way in some of these councils, so you can have Labor and Greens and a whole bunch of lefties sitting there on the council, and they'll green light projects like smart cities. Now, a lot of state members of parliament, of which some of them we've interviewed, and they have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to smart cities. And some people have said, well, that's because it's a council issue.
Yep.
If these things are going to be implemented, it's going to be at council. As a councillor in Campbelltown, will you support smart cities?
Absolutely not. That is one of the we run for many reasons, right? But that's one of the main reasons. I will be the brick wall that prevents those globalist institutions from installing the 15-minute cities. Now, 15-minute cities is a basic principle of building a city. Okay, so what happens is you don't want to travel for half an hour to go and buy milk and bread, and things like that. Okay, so cities are designed, and I spoke the current mayor of Campbelltown. He's a town planner, and we had a discussion about this because I've as a candidate, as a citizen, I'm lucky enough I'll get to go and speak with these people face to face and have a coffee with them. And I said, mate, I'm against all this smart city stuff and all that kind of. And he goes, look, the thing is, 15-minute cities is the way that cities are designed anyway. Okay, so it's 15 minutes to cross end to end, and it's convenient for everyone from anywhere to kind of get to shops and get to schools and work sometimes and whatever, right? So fine. I said, but what about electric fencing, where it's invisible fencing and then the car can't drive? Oh, well, this, that, the other and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm against it. Everyone, I've been a One Nation candidate. I've spoken very strongly about these 15-minute cities and these, city-style prisons and things like that. We're not going to let that happen. And I actually, funnily enough, because I'm obviously reading more and more of the council page and trying to get, more information and trying to catch up because I want to hit the ground kind of running. Okay. Have a look on your council's website and have a look about resilient cities. And they talk about, they act dumb, some of these politicians in state and federal about WEF and United Nations and all these kind of things, and Rockefeller Foundation. It's all plastered over it. Oh, from the Rockefeller Foundation, we're going to do this and this and this on recommendation of who the hell are Rockefeller Foundation? Okay, do they live in Campbelltown? Are they Australian citizens? Have they voted? Are they paying rates? Are they doing these kind of things? No, they're not. They're in their ivory towers, as we all said in the past. They're in their ivory towers overseas, eating their caviar and flying their jet planes and living on their yachts and living on the water and saying that the water's going to rise and all this kind of stuff, and they still buy multi-million-dollar mansions on the ocean sea level, right? So what I'm saying is that they are sneaking these things through, and you have to be careful about surveillance, and you have to be careful about why are they wanting to densify an area such as Campbelltown? It's a big city. We've got plenty of open spaces. It is suburban. It was cow pastures. Okay, and now they're going to go, well, what we're going to do is we're going to increase the population. We're going to build 16-level story buildings. We're going to put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apartments in. Everyone's going to live on top of each other. There's not going to be any more roads. Everyone has to drive electric cars. We're going to put charging stations everywhere, draw more power off the grid. We're going to use solar panel power and wind power to charge all these things, which we know can't happen anyway. Okay, and then what's going to happen is, and then what are we left with? We're left with chaos and mess and people living on top of each other. Worried about viruses and diseases. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You increase the population of an area and put everyone in one room, basically, right? What's going to happen then? Okay. Whereas if you town plan, if you accept that, we've got all this land and we can utilize this land, okay, and then we can slowly build out and work with other councils and other groups and stuff like that, and then we can actually make a really, really nice open place where we can still see the sun as well, because you have all these big buildings. Go walk through Liverpool. Sometimes you don't see sun at all in Liverpool. And we've got 20-story buildings, and we've got all these, they knock down pubs, and they knock down the old bike shop I used to buy my motorbikes from, and they put buildings up there, and then they've got and then you have I can't remember the name of it, but you've got a pub there, and then the sun comes around, to the west, and then the shadows cast over it all afternoon, so you can't even enjoy a beer in the beer garden. So what happens is, like, let's think about this. Yes, we might need a little bit of high density, but we also need medium density. What about clearing the red tape and the green tape? And why not let people, because in Campbelltown we have actually big blocks of land. Why not utilize the land and let people build some granny flats in there? Why not make it easier? Affordable housing. You have a young man and a young lady, and they're married and they're starting out, and they need a 2-bedroom granny flat, a place to live with their own, to start off their life journey, right? Well, a perfectly, a nice big granny flat out the back of somebody's house could really be the answer for that, with, good affordable way to get your legs out, get on 2 feet and get moving.
Hey, and it might be a good answer for the aged care crisis as well. People being able to build granny flats in their backyard so they can look after their elderly parents or elderly, grandparents or whatever it might be, instead of putting them in aged care facilities that are just hellholes.
That's right. And I can tell you something about that. It takes the pressure and the burden off the ratepayer and taxpayer as well, because they're not getting, basically the elderly person is getting their pension, but they're going to be supported by the family who's their children or the people who are looking after them in their backyard. So it's not about, having, you're worried about, certain calorie intake in aged care centres, and then people are getting like less calorie intake than the elderly are getting less calorie intake than the prisoners are.
Look, but and I think you made a very important point about the smart cities. Like, if you are going to design somewhere, you do want it to be accessible within a 15-minute radius. So where you live, you want to be able to go to, the local shop, the local school, the local gym, whatever it might be. Parklands. I know here in the Northern Beaches where we live, my wife has the pick of 3 or 4 parks that are easy walking distance. I mean, that's really helpful. We can walk to the beach. We can walk to the local IGA. There's schools around. I mean, that stuff's important, but you don't want to be restricted within that 15-minute and surveilled. Well, you want to be able to
leave it whenever you want, don't you? If you want to jump in the car and go down to Oberon, you want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. If I want to jump in the car and go up to the Central Coast, if I want to jump in the car and go and see you, mate, up in the Northern Beaches, celebrate the children's birthdays and things like that. If you want to come down to Campbelltown and do what we do sometimes in the fishbowl here and celebrate birthdays with my family and things like that, you won't be able to do it. And, and we've seen it happen. It's happened in England. Okay. And how they just edge it in slightly. Oh, you can leave your zone 15 times a year. After that, you'll cop a fine. Why should I cop a fine? Why should I cop a fine? And the thing is, the trick about it all is as well, okay, it's not just about the density. It's about the surveillance cameras. It's about your digital identification. It's about central banking currency, okay, or currency banking, whatever it's called, right? Digital money, okay? So what happens is it's the density is one thing, okay? But then when you include surveillance, okay, then when you include your digital identification, and then digital money, right? That and then electric cars, because God knows they take, if they take away our gas guzzling, petrol loving cars, right? Our freedom goes down the gurgler straight away, because it's just nothing says freedom than a 200 horsepower V8 driving down a bloody freeway. I can tell you that.
Well,
so,
I'm always reminded of that scene in Demolition Man where he's sick of driving the self-driving cars, and he finally finds, a V8 or whatever it is down in the cellar,
Yes.
He's like, buckle up, and he just, he's flying over the hills, and like having a car is freedom. You don't want. I mean, my car that I drive. I mean, there's all these sensors in there, and some of them are good, but it's lane sensors and all this stuff, and then once the stop suddenly and all this, and oftentimes you're just trying to reverse through a tree and it's not letting you because it thinks you're trying to reverse into a fence or something like that. Yeah. Look, I mean, they're taking away decisions that we're more than capable of being able to make ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a sad day in the world. I mean, it's a sad day when you can't just grab your set of keys and just go for a drive. You know what I mean? Like, that's the Australian way. People will go out bush. People go hunting. People do all those Campbelltown people, big on the four-wheel drives, big on getting out camping, big on taking, family vacations with the caravan and things like that. So, restricting people's freedom of movement, 100% against, okay? And definitely, the smart cities. Now, I've spoken to people about it before. Surveillance in some areas can work, okay? So you might need a little bit of closed circuit cameras.
Maybe around nightclubs and stuff like that.
Well, around nightclubs, around back alleys and stuff like that, known trouble spots, okay? But the trick is not to let it link back with facial recognition to your personal data, where then you can be punished for doing a jaywalk, like the scene in Demolition Man, when he hits the wall and goes, "You're just a piece of blah, 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 blah." And he gets all those, "You are fined 1 credit. You are fined 1 credit. You are fined 1 credit." And he goes, "Toilet paper." And then he goes to the toilet because he didn't know he was So, so, I mean, that's a Hollywood movie. And it's not that, it's only, 20 years old, that movie, not even. I think 20-something years old, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, it's so far-fetched." Well, mate, hey, we're in 2024, and there is more movie now than there was back then.
If we don't have good people like you, Adam, pushing back against this stuff, then it won't be so far-fetched. But look, we probably should wrap up because we said we're going to go short, and we knew that wasn't going to happen. But I think you've been effective in prosecuting your case for the people of Campbelltown. I hope that a lot of people that want to find out more information about you watch this interview, because I think you've been very clear about what you stand for. If people want to find out more information, they can go to Adam's Independent for Campbelltown Facebook page. Now, this is dedicated to Adam and everything that Adam is doing. So head to Facebook, and if you need to type it in, it's facebook.com/realadamzara. It's the best way to follow Adam. Now, I do want to finish up by asking you, I can see your ticket, all those lovely faces here on your ticket. Now, maybe just people might be going, okay, well, we know about Adam, we want to vote for Adam, but if we vote too much for Adam, and I know you only got 1 vote, but if we get our friends and family to vote for Adam, then we may also elect some of Adam's team. Just quickly, let us know about your team. Who are they? So people know, a whole collection of all, maybe the names behind these faces and their qualities and everything.
Well, okay, well, that's great. That's great to hear. So, my candidates have a little profile and a picture of them on there. Okay, so that you can scroll through and just read a little bit more in depth. Okay, but I have number 2 on the ticket, which is Annika Thompson. What a grounded, down-to-earth young woman she is. She's a business owner. She's an entrepreneur. She employs, or has a facility where she has people work and do beauty and cosmetics and stuff like that. Okay, she loves animals, and she's just really, for somebody of her age, really grounded. Okay, she's just she's a good, and you know what? And she's a fighter. That's what I really like about her. She's a fighter, so she's not afraid to get her hands dirty and get things done. And she hasn't had a silver spoon handed to her. Okay, she came from Ireland with her family. Okay, when she was only a little girl. Okay, but she's still got a bit of an Irish accent, and she's got that Irish fight in her. So I really like her. She certainly won't back down. if she's getting a bit of grief from other people and stuff like that. But nice conservative values, very similar to me on my page. So she's really, really good. So I really hope that she does. We do pull enough vote to get her in. Then we've got the third person on the list is Lawson Hagen. So he's a tradie. He's a chippy. You know, he loves his cars. He loves the Australian way. Obviously, you know, you can tell blonde hair, blue eyed. He's pretty Aussie anyway. But you know, he's just a good, same thing, hard working young guy trying to get his foothold in you know the housing market, trying to you know get started and trying to build roots. You know, in Campbelltown, we all live in Campbelltown. We're all from different areas of Campbelltown as well. So that's really good. So Lawson, you know, he's into his hunting, he's into his fishing, he's into his into some shooting, loves his 4-wheel drives. You know, so he's really good. He's a really good crosscut of the Campbelltown community. So yeah, Lawson's you know, and they've also they got my back. I've got their back, and we've got Campbelltown's back. So you know they're ready to act and perform. Should we get enough votes to pull those guys in?
Excellent stuff, mate. I mean, I know a lot of the people on your ticket. Great people, good people, regular, ordinary, everyday people that are facing the same pressures as the people of Campbelltown, so they'll be able to relate to the issues that the people of Campbelltown are facing. I think that's what you need. Let's get away from the career politicians who are living in their ivory towers, and let's get back to real representative government where people put their hand up for their communities because they understand their communities, they understand the pressures and the issues that the communities are going through, and they can really get onto these, whether it be local government or state government or federal government. In this case, it's local government, and it's a good avenue for these people to get involved politically. And I you know, what you're doing as an independent running is giving them a chance to contribute to their community. So more power to you, Adam. I know you're a fantastic candidate. I mean, that's why we you know hooked up together in the first place, because I knew how hard you work and how hard you campaign and how dedicated you are to everything that you do, and how dedicated you are to not only just your family, but also your community. So hopefully the people of Campbelltown realise that and they get behind you. And I mean, it would be fantastic if you did get a block of people elected and you could really do some really great stuff for Campbelltown. And I know if you do get on council, you will be doing that good stuff. You will fight. You will not stop until you achieve what you want to achieve. And you do listen to people. I've been out on the campaign trail with you, and I've seen you spend probably more time than you should talking to people and hearing their concerns. And you're a very good and accomplished people person. You're really able to gel with people very, very quickly, and I think that's a tremendous quality. And you know, more power and luck to you, mate. I'm really looking forward to the day that I can do a podcast with you and introduce you as Councillor Adam Zara, and hopefully maybe one day Mayor Adam Zara as well.
Yeah, well, we'll just take one bridge at a time. We're just going to work really hard, and you know, and we're going to learn. We're going to learn to play the game properly, and we'll learn to get things done and how they get done, and we'll make sure that we are listening to the people. And as you were saying before, when we're not career politicians, our ears are to the ground, because we still go around our day-to-day life and we do talk to people and we do listen. So it's going to be an exciting election, actually, across the board.
So again, please support Adam in any which way that you can. You can, as I said, head to his Facebook page, Adam Zara Independent for Campbelltown, or if you want to type in Real Adam Zara, you can find this page. Follow him, keep up to date with everything that he's doing. You know, all his media and campaigning and everything like that. There's also, as he was reading out before, some really good information about the people on his ticket as well. And look, if you are in other areas, like here in the Northern Beaches, you know, we don't have any Liberals to get behind. We don't have any good candidates. It's all just Labor, the Greens and the Teals to get behind here in the Northern Beaches. Well, then reach out to Adam or reach out to me and say, hey, I want to help Adam out. Even if it's just on election day, I want to stand on a polling booth in Campbelltown and support Adam, hand out some how to vote cards, or maybe you even want to donate to Adam. Do it. He's a good guy. I know some groups in the Northern Beaches have already reached out to you, Adam, to try and pick your brain and see where you stand. So I hope they get behind you. I know I'll be telling everyone to support you. And look, I think you're in a real good position. You never count your chickens before they hatch, but I wish you the best of luck. And I can only hope that you're able to make a difference in Campbelltown, which I think you already have done. And we didn't even talk about tonight the accomplishments that you've made in previous campaigns where you actually, as a candidate, were able to get things done. So I can only imagine what you'd be able to get done as a councillor.
Well, we should just rattle them off real quick, actually, because I did do a few things as a candidate, and it's actually really, really exciting for me because you can make a difference, and it is, even as a candidate, you can, okay? I got the lifts fixed at Lemire train station, and then we got into a bit of a beef with Labor about it because they tried to claim it. Stephen remembers that very, very well, okay? And we've got the Hansard documents and all that kind of stuff to prove it, okay? So that was a candidate, right, that fixed lifts, right, that hadn't been working for like a month or something like that, okay? I got tennis courts resurfaced for the local community in Glen Alpine. Okay, that was something that had been going on for a little bit, and I reached out and used a little bit of political pull that I had, right, to speak to some councillors. Again, Councillor George Bratisevic. Okay, and then what happens is he made a few phone calls on my behalf, and we got the courts redone. Okay, then we had the state road of Appin Road, where grass was all overgrowing and ruins people's lawns and yards and things like that. And then we reached out to the Transport Minister at the time, and what happened was the roads minister at the time for the state roads, and then they got that all cleaned up and stuff like that. So I have actually, thank you very much for mentioning it, Stephen. I've already achieved, some small milestones and some small markers, okay, and it's now, to level up. We've got to try and get a victory under our belt to try and see if we can't get that councillor position to actually start really steering and changing the direction of Campbelltown. Better value, better value spending. We want roads, rates, and recreation. We want better parks. And being a tradie, I want to deliver. So that's the key point, and that's what Stephen was saying before. I don't stop until I get a result. It's because I've just brought up and been that way inclined. Is that you fill up your van in the morning and you empty it. That's how
you have to. You walk into people's houses. You can't just walk out of there and say, "Well, I can't fix it, mate. See you later."
No, you got to get paid, right? So, and it's the same thing. You got to deliver, and that's the idea, and that's the mentality, right? So we put a bill forward to put a park at. To put a district park at St Andrews, well, I'm going to fight like a dog to try and make that happen and get the council to vote for it and get the funding, and let's do it, because let's face it, it's a forgotten area and it needs to be done. And anyway, jump onto my Facebook page and have a look. We're starting to put videos up now. We're campaigning, and you'll get to know more and more about what we're about and what we're doing as we get closer to the election.
Good stuff, mate. As I say every single time, share. Like, if you have anyone in Campbelltown, or you know anyone nearby, or if you know people that are in an electorate where they're dying to help a good candidate but they don't have anyone representing them, let them know about Adam Zara. He could use all the support that he can get, because running as an independent is not easy. You're using all your own resources. You're not getting any favors from anyone. So we really do rely on good people to get behind people like Adam. So please reach out to him. Please support him. Donate, volunteer your time, whatever you can do. I'm sure Adam will appreciate it. And of course, share this interview out, because I think more people need to find out about Adam. And if they do find out about Adam, then I think they'll get right behind him.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thanks for putting me on display today.
No worries, mate. And thanks for everyone who's watched today. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Yeah.